Some absolutely seismic quotes from Mo Salah after Liverpool's 3-3 draw at Leeds United, speaking in the mix zone, a game that he wasn't even involved in because he was on the bench. Let's speak to our chief correspondent, Kaveh Solhekol, who joins us live now on the phone to react to what was an extraordinary exchange, Kaveh, between Mo Salah and the journalists that were there getting comment from him. And I'll just put one quote to you in particular that seems like perhaps the most polemic. It seems like the club has thrown me under the bus. That is how I'm feeling. I think it is very clear that someone wanted me to get all of the blame. What do you make of what Mo Salah has said this evening?
Look, I think he is somebody who's very emotional. I think most people in football would say that he's reacted in the wrong way to being dropped. Every footballer is dropped during their career. You have to deal with it. You have to carry on giving 100% in training. And you've got to prove that you deserve your place back in the team. To do what Mo Salah has done is something that very few footballers in the modern age would do. And just to give you an idea of how this interview came about, he didn't play in the game against Leeds, the third game in a row that he hasn't been in the starting 11. Now, after games, all players have to walk through an area called the mix zone. Now, if you haven't played in the game, more often than not, journalists won't even bother asking to speak to you because you didn't play in the game. There's no point talking to you. But this is not the first time that Mo Salah has stopped to speak in the mix zone when he had had a message that he wants to get across. I remember last season, for instance, he stopped to talk about the fact that he hadn't been offered a new contract. But what he did today was even more sensational. I mean, just some of the quotes he come up with, accusing Liverpool of throwing him under the bus, accusing the club of breaking promises to him, saying that he'd called up his parents on Friday to tell them to come to the Brighton game because if he was playing, that would probably be his chance to say goodbye to the Liverpool fans. I mean, I think we've rarely seen somebody give such an emotional interview. I mean, he came out that somebody at the club does not want me there. Somebody does not want me at the club. I think the way Liverpool will react to this and handle this will be very interesting because I think perhaps the best course of action would just be to say, look, Mo is very emotional. He's obviously very, very upset at being dropped. But no footballer, no matter how good you are or how great you are in Mo Salah's case, can behave like this when you're contracted to a club.
Kaveh, do you think that this is, Mo Salah effectively going as close to pressing the self-destruct button in terms of his career at Liverpool? He's essentially throwing down an ultimatum to the club to say, well, someone doesn't want me here. It's kind of me or them, or, what do you think his motivations are? Do you think he's machinating for a move away from Anfield?
Well, I think the reason he's doing this is just because he's upset about being dropped. And he feels that Liverpool have been playing badly. He feels that, some fans and the media have blamed him unfairly for what's going wrong at Liverpool this season. And he feels that he's been made the fall guy. And obviously he's reached the point where he feels that he wants to come out and tell the world how he's feeling. Now, I have no problem with a player doing that. We're all human beings. If he's upset, he's upset. Why not come out and speak to the media? We're all journalists. At the end of the day, we want players to be honest when they speak to us. But at the end of the day, when you take the emotions out of this situation and when you take the emotion out of what he has said, from Liverpool's perspective, this changes nothing. He's a Liverpool player. He signed a new 2-year contract. Apparently he earns around £400,000 a week. I believe he's around 33 years old. What options does he have? Who is going to come out and sign him? Who can afford to pay him those kind of wages? I understand that he's feeling emotional at the moment. And please, I'm not criticizing him for what he's done. He's a human being. He can feel however a human being feels. But at the end of the day, he has got a massive contract at Liverpool. It's still got 18 months on it to run. And Liverpool will be well within their rights to just let him let him blow it out, get all this off his chest. If they feel that they need to punish him and fine him for breaking club rules, perhaps that's something they'll do. But knowing the way Liverpool operate, that will probably be done behind closed doors. But in reality, this really doesn't change that much, because just coming out and saying you're unhappy that you've been dropped and you don't know what your future holds and the club have thrown you under the bus, it doesn't mean that you're going to get your own way. So I don't see this as Mo Salah agitating for a move. I just see it as a case of he's just feeling very, very upset, very emotional, very angry. And, everyone's got a point at which they snapped. And for him, the point was probably the fact that not only was he not in the starting 11 today against Leeds, but he didn't get to play at all. And obviously the clock is ticking because he knows he's going to the African Cup of Nations soon, and he's absolutely desperate to play for Liverpool as much as possible for the remaining 18 months of his contract.
Kaveh, I just want to cover a couple of things in just a couple of minutes before we have to take a break. First of all, he said he has no relationship now with Arne Slot. How really distracting could this be for Arne Slot and for Liverpool? They've already got enough problems. But for him to say this and how that might really affect the squads, the rest of the season, this busy festive fixture, as you know, calendar, which is so packed.
Well, I think, look, he's such an important player for Liverpool. I'm sure that Arne Slot will not like what Salah has done. The executives at the club won't like what he's done. But at the end of the day, I come back to the point. It doesn't change anything. He can say what he wants. He's still contracted to Liverpool Football Club, and this will be dealt with internally. He will play for Liverpool again. He will stay at Liverpool for the rest of the season, unless somebody comes along and offers to sign him, to pay a big transfer fee, to pay his big wages. Who is going to do that?
Well, here's a question, Kaveh. Could it be Saudi Pro League? Could it? Because we know that there's been interest before. We know that they are prepared to pay huge fees and potentially huge wages as well. And we know that he's a huge figure in the Arab world too. So does that reopen that conversation?
Okay, the problem is that he's come out and said that he's unhappy. He doesn't have a relationship with the club. He doesn't have a relationship with the manager. He's been thrown under the bus. So any club who's interested in signing him will know that they can probably get him on the cheap. They would ask him to take a wage cut. Is he willing to do that? Now, everybody talks about Saudi Arabia. Yes, the Saudi Pro League want him. He is a priority signing. They would absolutely love for him to play in Saudi Arabia. But it is going to be a very, very complicated deal to do. And it's not something that's just going to happen in a matter of days, especially considering that Mo Salah is going to the African Cup of Nations.
Yeah.
So, yes, I can see him playing in Saudi Arabia at some point, but it's not going to happen in a matter of days.
No. Okay. Well, listen, Kaveh, appreciate your time for the moment.
Okay, let's unpack this. We're doing a deep dive into a sports story where all the real drama happened off the pitch.
Right, in that little corridor right next to it.
Exactly. Our mission today is to really get into the fallout from Mohamed Salah's, extraordinary post-match comments after Liverpool's draw with Leeds.
A game he didn't even play in, which is key.
That's the crucial part.
This is the ultimate clash. It's superstar player emotion versus the cold, hard reality of a modern football contract.
And what makes it so potent is where he said it.
The mixed zone, yeah. For anyone who doesn't know, that's that tiny shoot where usually only a few selected players talk to the media.
For a non-playing player to stop there, that's not an accident.
No, it's a deliberate act of defiance. And the headline quote was just, absolutely seismic. The club has thrown me under the bus.
So this felt really targeted, right? This was the third straight game he wasn't in the starting lineup. And he goes to that one spot because he has a message.
Oh, absolutely. He's done it before with his contract talks. But this was different. This wasn't about money. You get the sense it was about, betrayal.
Yeah, and the accusations were intense.
They were. He said he felt it was, and this is a quote, very clear that someone wanted me to get all of the blame. He's basically saying they're making him the fall guy.
Wow.
And then he accuses the club of breaking promises and says, pretty pointedly, somebody at the club does not want me here.
I mean, that's just... It's incredible. And then he brings his family into it, saying he called his parents, telling them the Brighton game might be his chance to say goodbye to the fans.
And he names the manager.
Yeah.
He says he has no relationship now with Arne Slot. Just throws it all out there.
So what's the view from inside football? How did this land?
Well, look, past the drama, most people in the game think he reacted in the, quote, wrong way.
Okay.
The feeling is pretty firm. No footballer, it doesn't matter how good you are, can behave like this when you're under contract. There have to be consequences.
So psychologically, is this just a snap point? He's angry, he feels blamed, and he just erupts? Or is this calculated?
It's probably a bit of both, but you're right to question it. Telling your parents you might say goodbye sounds like pressure, doesn't it?
It sounds like a tactic designed to force the club's hand.
It could be. But whether it's calculated or not, his anger, it just smashes right into the reality of his contract. And that's the anchor here.
Right. So let's talk about that. Let's move to the ledger sheet. What does that contract actually mean for Liverpool right now?
The contract, it changes nothing for them.
Nothing.
From their perspective, nothing. He is locked in for another 18 months. He's nearly 33, earning, around £400,000 a week.
A massive financial commitment.
Huge. So Liverpool is completely within its rights to just deal with this internally. Fine him behind closed doors for breaking club rules, and that's that. He's an asset.
An unhappy £400,000 a week asset, though, that's still a problem they have to solve. So what are his plausible exit options?
There's really only one destination that's ever seriously mentioned.
The Saudi Pro League.
Exactly. He's a priority signing there. A monumental figure in the Arab world. It makes perfect sense.
So if they want him and he seems to want out, why wouldn't this be a quick deal?
Because here's the fascinating part. The moment he goes public like this, any interested club knows Liverpool is in a tough spot.
So they can lowball them.
They can absolutely try to get him on the cheap. His transfer value just deflates. And he might even have to take a wage cut to make it happen.
And there's another complication, right?
A big one. He's heading to the African Cup of Nations soon. The whole process is basically frozen. You can't negotiate a transfer this complex while your star asset is on another continent.
So we're left with this superstar full of very real, very human emotion, just colliding with an 18-month, multi-million-pound contract that binds him to a club he feels has betrayed him.
And that's the core of it. Which brings us to the big question to leave you with. When a player, a high-value asset, publicly undermines his manager and tries to force an exit, what are the real limits of a club's power?
Is fame the ultimate form of job security?
Exactly. Does being a £400,000 a week global brand make you functionally untouchable? Something to chew on?